What do you do when you hear voices down the hall? What do you do when you see a shadow in your room? What can you say when you see eldritch lights in the sky? Do you have the strength to believe in the unbelievable? To embrace the impossible? To go beyond the beyond? Join my friend as we explore the dark corners of the cosmos. Well, greetings, everyone. This is take two of the Beyond the Beyond Paranormal podcast. I just recorded a whole show, a whole damn show, and you're never going to hear it because of technical difficulties. I'm learning this new audio software. Audacity kind of flipped out on me yesterday. I do another show called Geeks with Attitude, and that show we were going to do a simultaneous recording and video, but the audio didn't work for some reason. Would not play back. It recorded, but it would not play back. So I've decided that I'm going to walk away from Audacity and try greener pastures. Anyhow, well, that's what we're trying to do today. Hopefully this works well. Like I said, I just talked for 30 minutes straight about paranormal unity. And I made some really good points, and points I'm probably never going to be able to say again because it was on the spur of the moment. It got really passionate. But we're going to try. We're going to try and see what we can come with this. First of all, if you're new to the show is about the paranormal. It's specifically about exploring ideas of the paranormal. And that's UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, ESP, parapsychology, all the ologies, and here we try to make it a safe place to discuss these things. I think we'll start off tonight with this, is that I had a rude person who commented on my Facebook page and didn't like my beginning and said it was comical. Well, here's the thing about my beginning. My beginning is kind of like harkens back to like a show called In Search Of. It's meant to be kind of campy and tongue-in-cheek because the rest of the show was so heavy that I like to have kind of a silly tone at the very, very beginning, but not too silly because this show is about kind of exploring those things that are very dark and kind of frightening at times. But I'm not a very dark and frightening person, so I kind of like to have just a little bit of campiness. The topics are never campy. The topics will never be campy. When we start having guests, if I can ever find out how to do that, then that won't be campy either. But my beginning is kind of like In Search Of or Sightings or any of the really old paranormal shows. And if you're old enough to know what I'm talking about, you got kind of that thing. And also, I'm a geek. It's kind of what I do. I talk about pop culture on my other show, and I love superhero shows and science fiction, like a lot of us who are involved in the paranormal do. And some of that is kind of taken from The Shadow, which was a pulp hero in the 30s, and a little bit from The Flash TV show. So if you're wondering where my beginning comes from and why it's kind of silly, that's why. It's meant to be silly. And really, that's all I know how to do right now. I kind of started the show early, earlier this year, and basically, I'm learning on the fly. I have all this knowledge, and I can talk for days and days and days about the paranormal, but I don't know how to make a podcast. So I'm just going to say that, if you don't like the show, then you can go and watch other shows. But if you like the show, tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your uncle, tell your aunt, tell your cat, tell that amoeba that lives in the lake, tell everyone about it. because I think we have a lot of fun here, and I think you guys have fun too. Um, we're going to get on with the actual show proper. Uh, for What I want to say next is we created a Facebook group called Blacklist Paranormal Group, and you know what I'm talking about when I say Facebook group, right? uh, all over the interwebs. On Facebook, there are these like Facebook groups where people share their evidence, or they put up silly memes, or it's just a way for us investigators to talk to each other, and sometimes it's a way to get clients. Um, so we now have that. It's called Blacklist Paranormal. Me and my former investigation colleague Amanda started it. One of the best EVP people I've ever met. We used to call her Ghostbait. And a bunch of people from my old group, USEP, on there. We'll talk about USEP later when we talk about Paranormal Unity. So check it out, and we will see. So tonight we're going to talk about a few things. Um, First is we'll talk about a my ghost in Hawaii. And then we'll talk about paranormal unity. And I'm going to get pissed and I'm going to yell and throw things. And because this is a topic I am very passionate about, and you're going to find out why. So first of all, I put on I put an EVP on the Facebook page. I think a week ago, and what it is, it's an EVP of a ghost I picked up in Hawaii, in Kona, Hawaii, when I went on when I went on vacation with a friend of mine. And this was taken at about 2:30 in the morning. And let me tell you a little about Kona, Hawaii. It's on the Big Island. It's on the southern side of the Big Island. It's a small little town where there was a huge freaking battle, and a lot of people have died on that land. And this hotel, which is one of the main reasons I picked this hotel, of course, is allegedly haunted. And the story is that two children drowned in a pool, but I don't know if that's what this is. I think we got some of the villagers who are probably slaughtered during the war in the either 1700s or 1800s. You'll have to look at Hawaiian history. I used to know, but you can look it up. Look up like Kona battlefield. And anyways, the place is called the Sheraton in Kona. Uh, it's a really nice hotel where a lot of like honeymoon couples go. But what's interesting about that hotel is that, and we noticed this, is that when it gets dark, that changes. The energy of that place changes into something kind of mean. And we saw a lot of couples, me and my former roommate, basically arguing with each other, um, which was very, very strange. Anyways, how I got this EVP was, since I knew this was a haunted hotel, I wanted to try something and experiment with something and see if it would work. And what I did is I got the Ghost Radar app. Now you're going to start laughing at me. Oh, Ghost Radars, those don't work. And yeah, the Ghost Radar does not work, but the Ovilus inside of it does. Now, what's an Ovilus? An Ovilus is this piece of equipment that basically blurts out words. And you are never supposed to use this as evidence, and you never, ever should. Ever. Because you can't, it could be programmed to speak out those words. But what you can do, what I do when I go to a haunted location where I have to sleep over, then I will take the Ghost Radar and put it on. And when it starts spouting out words, if I'm waking in like 3 in the morning and it starts sprouting out words like here, here, or something like that, then I'll get my recorder out and then I'll start taking EVP. Now, this is a Class A EVP. And what do I mean by classes? Well, we're going to have a little EVP lesson right now. Sorry, a little bit still sick. Anyhow, There is Class A, Class B, and Class C. Class A is the type of EVP that you hear like on radio shows. It's the one that is completely legible, that you could play for anyone and they would know what it is. Um, if I get a Class A EVP, I can play it for my mom. I can play it for my friends. I can play it for my team. I can play it for my clients. I can play it for my dog. I can play it for my cat. I can play it for the amoeba down the street, but they don't have ears. I can play it for everyone, and they're going to know what it is. Um, Class B is a step kind of below that, is that you can still hear what it's saying, but it can be kind of subjective. So basically, with that is that we always have a consensus of like if I'm with a team if I'm with a team, then I'll send that EVP to my other teammates. They'll listen to it, and we'll have a consensus of what it says. It's easier to listen to EVP when you have audio phones. Um, and with a Class B, you can usually hear with your headphones. Class C EVP is you can hear something. It's very faint. You need headphones to listen to it. The only way that you're going to be able to play it for a client is that if you use audio software and kind of equalize it and things like that. Um, I normally would take Class C's and throw them out if unless they're really important. I have really good ears. I'm a musician by trade, so so a lot of times when I was with my team, I would hear things that other people wouldn't unless they boosted it, and then they would hear it. But we couldn't show that to a client because they couldn't hear it. So we would just take that and throw it out into the cornfield and not and say that's evidence, and that's kind of what you have to do. Even if you find something special, if no one else can hear it, then what are you going to do with it? You can't do anything with it. But this one in Kona, Hawaii was a Class A. And so I set up my ghost radar before I went to sleep, and it started doing its thing. It started saying something like here, or gosh, I don't remember. It was so long ago. But I woke up. It woke my roommate up, and and basically I started taking audio. I started asking, what are you doing here? Who are you? Stuff like that. And most of the stuff was, we got a few things, but they were very illegible, and I can't share that with you. With Class C. There might have been a Class B in there. I don't remember. But we got one Class A EVP, and this is what it is. I asked, is there anyone there? But before I say that, on the recording, it says anger. And I think what it was, I think it's one of the spirits of like the fallen civilians who probably died in that war. And it was a tribal war between the nations of Hawaii. I believe it was in either the 1700s or 1800s. And a lot of people died in that town. So yeah, if you want to check that out, it's up right now on the Facebook page. We're going to do this like Art Bell used to do. Art Bell used to say, come to my page, and I have a picture of a ghost up, and then he would get lots of traffic. And I wanted to play it on the show, but I can't find out how to do that right now. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to find out how I can get Skype on here. But anyhow, so there's that, and I think you will admit this is a pretty cool find. I mean, I was kind of blown away, and I was showing everybody this one. It's one of the best I've ever gotten. And I'm hoping, like I said, I'm in contact with some USEP members, and I'm hoping that my friend Amanda has more of the old evidence from USEP. And if so, then we'll put some more EVP up there if we can do that. I also have something I'm going to put up probably this week, and I don't know why I didn't put it up on the podcast. It's probably the best ghost picture my team ever took, and it's of we were doing an investigation at this residence, and the activity was kind of funky, And we went outside for cigarettes, and there was no one in the house. And my former investigator partner took some pictures of the window, but the window did not have glass; it was plastic, and you can clearly see there's a man with a cowboy hat and a beard. And I'll put that up. And you know, when it comes to photos, I am extremely skeptical about them because it's so easy to manipulate them nowadays. So I'm rarely going to put photos up. I mean, 95% of the photos that you see on Facebook are complete and total junk. But sometimes, there's still that 5% that is completely legit. But it's hard to tell. So, be skeptical whenever you see a photo. And there's that. So I'll put that up this week. All right, so let's get to the main topic today. Uh, the main topic is paranormal unity. And this is a topic that is very dear to my heart. Um, I believe that we as paranormal teens have a responsibility to help other paranormal teens. And I believe that it is our responsibility to help our teammates. And I think our differences make us strong. I was in a team called USIP. It's called Utah Society for Unexplained Phenomena. And we were the best team. We were on the rise, and a lot of the Utah paranormal groups out there right now hailed from members of USIP, or they knew members of USIP, or we went on joint investigations and that kind of thing. I mean, we were good. I'm not going to mince words here. We were good, but as they say, all good things must come to an end, and we tore each other apart from the inside out. I'm just as responsible for this as anybody else. And I think what happened is that all the members of USIP, like, we were really good at the stuff that we did, but each of us was really different. And sometimes, differences can be frightening. And I take the paranormal from a completely different place than my comrade Josh did. And Alan took it from a different perspective, and Kathy and Cami took it from a different perspective, and so did Amanda. And all those perspectives were so awesome. God, if we would have known now what we did then, or what we if we would have known then what we did now, I should say. Sorry, I'm a little tired. Um, we would have had one of the best paranormal teams ever. I was kind of their resident ghost bloodhound. I wouldn't have called myself a medium then, but I was starting to gain these gifts to be able to see spirit and communicate with spirit. Josh was straight technical paranormal. It's the best tech guy I've ever known in my life. He leads a group called TIPA, which is very, very, very good. They used to have their own podcast, a podcast I was on once. Uh, Kathy and Cami are your basic paranormal people. Kathy comes from a somewhat new age background, though at the time, we kind of did TAPS protocol stuff. Alan was more of a demonologist. That's what he wanted to do. That was his goal, and he led us. I was second in command of this thing, so I share as much responsibility of this falling apart as anybody else, and I take that responsibility. And Amanda was kind of religious at the time, um, and we had this great melting pot of different ways to investigate, and all of we worked so well together. But eventually, when you have those differences, instead of embracing that diversity, you start to run from it, and that causes problems within the team. And I think if we would have embraced that diversity fully, and I'm completely responsible for this, then the infighting would not have started. Um, I'm weird. I admit it. I do weird things, but I get results. So everything that I do that's strange, often I get results. And that's same with Josh's technique. Josh got results. Amanda got great results. So much that our nickname for her was Ghost Bait. Me and Amanda were the ones who would usually take EVP. I'm mostly an EVP guy myself. Um, EVP slash Ghost Bloodhound. Because I was the guy who would say, put your cameras here, put your cameras here. I feel something here, put them here. And often we would get something. Um, but like I said, we didn't embrace that diversity. And so, people started to talk behind people's backs. People started getting concerns. And there was an overall mutiny. And I tried very hard to try to keep the group together, but it just didn't work that way. And that's the thing, is that within your teams are your lifeline. Your teams are your friends. Your teams are your partners. Your teams are your team is your marriage. Your team is your band. Um, and if your band starts bickering when you're a musician, it's going to fall apart. And it's the same thing with paranormal teams, is that you gotta keep communication open. You gotta talk to each other, and you gotta embrace what makes you guys special. And if you don't do that, then things are going to turn, and your paranormal team is going to be gone within a year. And you need to realize this. Um, so this is for all you paranormal teams out there, and I know there's quite a few that listen. You know, talk to your partners. It's a marriage. It's like a marriage, and in marriage, if you don't talk to your partners, you get divorced. If you don't share what makes you special, all of you, all five, six, seven of you, uh, then you're going to get divorced. And you don't want that, because it's my belief, and I have a theory, that there are things out there that want you to be divorced. There are things out there that do not want your team to succeed. And I have this feeling that because we're in such toxic locations, um, spiritual locations, is that sometimes things latch onto us and they corrupt us from the inside out. And they don't even corrupt inter-team fighting. They corrupt like team against team stuff, and it brings up greed. It brings up wanting to be popular, all that stuff that all that political stuff that should not even be involved, because we're supposed to be doing the work. So yeah, you need to be able to listen, to the people that you work with. And I'm going to propose something interesting here. This worked really well for me back in Seattle, from a band standpoint. I was in a band called Post Rapture Party, and that fell apart because, well, I got cancer, and and after that, my I don't think my teammates teammates my bandmates understood what it's like to have cancer, and the emotional wreckage you are afterwards. I think they should have given me a year off, and then we would have come back much stronger. Kind of like what REM did, right? They gave their drummer, he had cancer, and he kind of quit, but there was not anything personal about it. This got very personal because these were really old friends of mine. Kind of the same thing that happened with the paranormal group. Maybe I'm responsible for that. I don't know. But I'm gonna propose something. Anyways, I was in a band called Post Rapture Party, and we weren't getting enough gigs. So came up with this idea, me and a few other gothic industrial bands in Seattle, called the Blacklist, in which we would band together at our bands, and we would play with each other, we would support each other, and we would basically be a team. And that way, with our a combined bargaining power, we could get better gigs, we could get better shows, we could work together in order to get paid more, and all of that. And I propose that we in the paranormal do the same thing. I think that our teams should band together, and with the internet now and Facebook, um, we can basically have an early warning system around the world where different paranormal groups hear something that's happening, let's say in Michigan, and they can send their evidence out to like a team in California who could look at it, then send it back. And or if someone in Louisiana is hearing about something that is, let's say it's like an inhuman haunt or something like that, something dark and scary, then they can contact a team in Texas, to come down there, or another team or other teams in Louisiana, than being alone. Because I think that when we are divided, then it falls. We fall apart. But if we're united, then we're strong. And there are things out there that want us to fall apart. So I propose that we start discussing this, that we come up with a way to work with other paranormal groups. And if we can get enough paranormal groups involved in something like a blacklist, um, then, like I said, we can have an early warning system for paranormal problems around the world. I mean, it's we can communicate with anybody anywhere now via the interwebs. So yeah, I think we need to start discussing that. I think we need to start discussing the true paranormal unity, and I think we all need to work together. I propose, like, let's say in California, if I'm either going to start a group or hopefully someone will bring me in, because really, I don't want to be brag or anything, but I'm pretty good at this. And if that happens, then I would like to contact other paranormal groups and be able to share investigations and share evidence and that kind of thing, and that'll make us much stronger. Um, Whenever I get evidence, I always contact other people because it's always good to get a second, third, fourth opinion on this stuff. Um, so if other teams were doing that, then it would just be better, man. It would just be a better way to do it. Now, I know that out there, yeah, there's a lot of territory, like tribalness with paranormal teams. Like, for example, this team is staking out this cemetery, and they won't let any other team go there, which I think is completely, total, freaking ridiculous, and it really pisses me off. And I think if you're doing that, then you just don't get it. This is not about your team. This is about clients, and this is about the science of the paranormal. This is about working together in order to find more evidence and try to bring this out into the world. And if you're taking like a paranormal hotspot that everyone can go to, and you're staking your claim on that, then you just need to go away. I mean, your team really just needs to fall apart and burn from the inside or burn from the outside. Uh, because really, what we need to do is we need to come together. And I think my whole entire point tonight is that we do need to come together as a team, and we need to come together as multiple teams. And if we start talking to each other, it's such and such team talking to each other, then we're just going to be that much better for it. Um, I used to say this a lot, and I still believe it. We're all putting our butts on the line, man. We're all going into these places that could be potentially dangerous. And anyone who does that to me is a hero. So anyone who does the paranormal, with a few exceptions, and I'll give you those exceptions in a minute, is a hero. We walk the places that no one else walks in order to help others. I mean, what could be more heroic than that? Um, so I have mad respect for anyone who does the paranormal, and because who else can do this? Most people don't think it exists, which is bull, as we all know, and other people are too terrified of it to do it. So we're warriors. We're spiritual warriors in a sense, and we should all have respect for each other. Now, the exceptions are this: if you're just in a paranormal group to get a TV show, then you need to become an actor and get away from the paranormal. If you're into the paranormal to make money, then you need to just go away. If you're in the paranormal to promote your to promote your tour business, then again, you're in it for the wrong reasons and just need to go away. You'll probably be gone anyways. Um, but I'm talking about paranormal investigators who have pure hearts, that they really want to go out there to help. They want to put their butts on the line to save a child who can't sleep at 2:30 in the morning because something is pulling her leg, or a family who is sleeping on the in the kitchen together, holding hands because they're so terrified. We do this for them. We don't do this for ourselves. Though, each of us have a catalyst why we do this. Often it's, we lost a loved one, or we had an experience ourselves that terrified us, and we just want to help others who experienced that, and that's okay. I have my personal reasons for doing this, but my personal reasons never get in the way of being of going out there to help. I will put my life on the line in order to help a family in need. I would go into the darkest of the dark in order to help others who have no way to help themselves. And I think you don't have to go into the darkest of the dark. I mean, 95% of spirits are completely harmless, right? Saying there's only that 5%, but I will put my life on the line to help others. We are paranormal police officers. We are who people call when they're in trouble, and we're we're very important because there are dark things out there, and there are dark things that you can't call the cops for. So they call us, and we have a duty and a responsibility to our clients in order to do that. So there's that, and I just want all you paranormal listeners out there, and those in groups or who want to be in a group, to ask yourself if basically if, and there's elephants upstairs, maybe it's a ghost, who knows, um, why you're doing this. Ask yourself why you're doing this. Why do you want to be a paranormal investigator? You doing it for the thrills? Well, that's not being an investigator. That's being a legend tripper, and that's fine. Are you doing this because you lost a loved one and want to know that there's something on the other side? That's fine too. But in the end, it comes down to the clients. If you really want to go far in this, if you want to do residentials, and I've done quite a few residentials. I haven't done as much as I've wanted to because, well, my team, both of my teams fell apart in Utah. One because of backbiting, and the other one because I got divorced and moved to Washington. Uh, uh, but my point being uh, is that if you want to do residentials, then you need to look inside your heart and you need to see why you want to do this. If in your heart you say that I would put my life on the line in order to save a child, then I want you on my team. If you go in your heart and say I feel that this is a calling for me, and no matter how hard it gets, then I'm going to continue, then I would want you on my team. If you're in this to just to write a book, or just to make money, or to be the new Ghost Hunters TV show, then I don't want you anywhere near my team. I wouldn't let you be in my investigation team. There's no way. Um, Writing books is okay. I don't have a problem with making money off the paranormal. I have a problem that if money is the only reason you're doing the paranormal. This isn't a sideshow. This isn't a circus. This is real life, and these are real people in need. And the spirits are in need too, and they need help. That's another thing. If you feel you want to help the spirits who are trapped and who are in pain, then I want you on my team. It's just that simple. Um, you have to go through it with the right motivations, and you gotta look at yourself and say to yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I involved in this? If it's just a legend trip, That's cool. But like I said, if you're going to do residentials, if you're going to go into some family's house, they got to know how to trust you, and you got to have a pure heart. Or, as I often say, those spirits will ride you like a rodeo, and you'll get corrupted from within. And so that's, your heart is your armor. Your heart and your soul is your armor, and it will keep the bad things at bay. And the best way to do that is to have a pure heart from within inside. And this is going to be, I think this is going to be a pretty short show, but I'm going to go on a little bit more. Um, I think that if you're making money on the paranormal, like, okay, I have a former teammate who is writing a book, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. And probably within the next 3 years, I'll probably write a book, but I need to have a little bit more time in the field to write about stuff. It's not ready yet, but soon it will be. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with selling a book. There's nothing wrong with making podcasts. There's nothing wrong with being on radio shows, and there's nothing wrong with being on a TV show. But if all you want to do is, if like all you want to do is become popular and famous, and this drives you so much that you're faking evidence, then I hope your team burns in flames. I'm sorry, but I do. And but let's say, I have friends online, who have been in TV shows, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's not all they do. I have a friend who's a medium, and a Facebook friend. I don't really know her that much. I mean, but she's on. I mean, it's called the Ghosts of Shepherdstown. She's a medium, and that's what she does. And secondary, she's on a TV show. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, she knows that she has a calling, and she does her stuff. And like I said, nothing wrong with that. But if you're just going in there to grab that TV show because you want to break into acting, then just go away. Just get into acting. You know, there are acting classes. If you're in LA, there's acting classes everywhere. I've taken them. Uh, but my point being is that our heart is our shield. If we go into this with truth and honor and honesty, then no demon can conquer us. No dark spirit can conquer us, and we can't be corrupted. But if we go in this with ill intent, then these things are going to ride you like the rodeo, and you are not going to have a good time. So that's what I'm saying. Go into this for the right reasons. Communicate with other paranormal groups. Work with them. Never say something bad about your teammates. I think these should be like the 3 commandments of the paranormal. And I might come up with other commandments, but I think these 3 should be paramount. So these are the 3 commandments of the paranormal. Do unto others what how others would do unto you in your team. Go into this for the right reasons, and don't be a jerk. Share evidence. Share your haunted house. Share the cemetery where you go on the weekends to do EVP, and that's what you need to do. So I think we're going to go away soon. Like I said, what I want you to do now is I want you to send me your paranormal stories. We're going to open it up to all forms of the paranormal because it's more interesting that way. We concentrate mostly on ghosts on this show because ghosts are what I'm into. But we also touch on UFO experiences and cryptids, though we haven't done anything about cryptids yet, but we will. But I want to hear your stories. If you've seen a ghost, if you're on a team and you have some really awesome evidence that you want to share, um, if you want to tell me about an investigation that you were on that was really fascinating, if you saw a UFO, if you've seen Bigfoot, if you've seen the Loch Ness Monster, if you've astral projected, if you have had psychic abilities, if you're a medium, then I want to hear your stories. And that's what we're going to do either later on this week or next week. But until then, I want you to know how much you all mean to me, how much that you hundreds of people who are listening to this show. And I don't even know how many of you guys are out there. I mean, I put this out on YouTube where I can do analytics and I can see that there's 60 to 100 to 200 people listening. But I also put it out on lip sync, and I don't know how to tell how many people are listening on that. So there might be a lot more, and there might be a lot little, but that's okay. But for all you who are listening, I just want to thank you for listening to my show, because without you, I wouldn't have a show. And that's what makes Q&A so fun, is that we get to explore your stuff. Anyhow, I try to make an entertaining show. I try to make it funny at times. I try to not to take it too serious unless the subject matter warrants it. This was a very serious episode. The episode with my ex-wife was very serious, obviously. Um, so yeah. I forgot to, Christy update. Christy has been away for a while. I can still hear her sometimes, but as her death gets further and further, she gets further and further away. I still reveal my pennies sometimes, and if I'm really scared about my health or something, then sometimes I'll hear her tell me to stop that. But that's pretty much what it is, and I'm still happy to have her around. So there's a little bit of a Christy update with you. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much all we can talk about like today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if there's anything that you want to do to make this show better, then that's then tell me. I'll always be working on this and trying to make it. My goal in life is to be Art Bell or Dave Schrader or even Tim Iceberg or any of those big paranormal shows. And I think that as this goes along, then I think it's going to get bigger and bigger, and we'll talk to more people. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. Remember, take your loved one in your hands and kiss them, because you never know they're going to be around, and you got to do that, because you know it could be gone tomorrow. So that's our show for tonight, and please tune in next week or 2 weeks. It's usually a week or 2 weeks, usually 2 weeks. But with this new audio software, it might be easier to do. I don't know if we're going to have an ending song, because the last time I did an ending song, I wiped out the whole entire podcast, and that was 30 minutes of talking that we didn't have. But yeah, I'm going to sign off now, and pleasant dreams.